The last few months have been game changing. At the start of this year, I'd plateaued at around about the 5 to 10K per month mark. And in the last month, I've done over 30 grand, and we've completely changed the way that we're doing things as an agency. We've completely changed our tech stack, and we've launched complete prototypes that people are paying over $20,000 for in just 4 weeks. And the craziest part is that AI is doing a lot of the heavy lifting now. If you scroll through my Upwork reviews on my public profile, you'll see some of the contracts that I've been landing lately, and we've done at least double this directly. And we're not the only agency that's figured this out. I've been seeing ads, and I know there's other people out there that have discovered this, but I'm just gonna lift the lid on the whole thing and tell you exactly what tech stack we're using to be able to deliver beautiful looking apps in literally just a week or two. So if you're a developer and you're looking to get in the AI space, you're looking to churn out high quality applications in just a couple of weeks, I'm gonna talk you through the exact tech stack that we're using and how we set this up to spit out rapid prototypes and full MVPs for clients that are literally paying thousands and thousands of dollars. And this exact process, even just 6 months ago, and honestly, a lot of tech shops are still doing this today, they're taking 4 or 5 times this because they haven't adopted this approach to the way they build tech. So let's break down the stack. The first thing I'm going to talk about, which is probably the most important, is Claude Code. Now, if you're not familiar with writing code in AI, Claude is one of the go-to models for writing this, and Opus is their flagship model for doing this. Now, we have Claude on the Max plan, and you can connect that with Claude Code and then use it in whatever IDE you're using to build these apps. Cursor's a really popular one out there, but everyone uses a different one. But Claude Code is going to be the AI model that writes a lot of your code. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use other models when things get stuck, but it's been the go-to model that we've used to digest the code and build really clean, quick applications. Next up, we have Cursor. Now, if you jump in my AI Builders Hub, I take you through more detail exactly how to actually plan these apps out and how to go from idea to actually building scalable foundations. But we still use Cursor as our idea of choice. And the way we set it up is we use one of the models in Cursor, so often one of their free models, to use it as like a chat interface, or we'll use Gemini, which has a really large context window, as the chat. And then we'll use Claude 4, the Opus model, as the actual model that does a lot of the coding. But Cursor is just a really clean interface. And if you're not from a development background, once you get your head around the complexities, it looks scarier than it actually is. Once you jump in and you start to play around, it will all unravel and it'll be a little bit easier to digest, and you'll start to understand what you're doing. Now, V0 is the next one I'll talk about. We like to build our apps on a tech stack using the Next.js framework. So we use V0 rather than Lovable because it just gels better with this stack. So a lot of the time, if we want to build out a user UI elements or components, or we want to start somewhere, we'll use V0 to start, and then we'll port it into Cursor and continue development from there. So we'll really try and build a prototype out in V0. That will be our starting point. And then once we're happy with the prototype and we want to start to connect it to Supabase, which I'm about to touch on, and start to build out more of the logic of the application, we'll push it into a Git repo, we'll put it into Cursor, and we'll start to work on it in a little bit more detail there. This also helps replace a lot of the UI UX dev work that typically slowed things down back in the day. So instead of having to wait for designer turnarounds, less people have their hands on the code essentially. So the product engineer or the product manager can actually do a lot of the prototyping and communicating with the client to build these prototypes a hell of a lot quicker. So this is one of the key tools that allows you to break down what traditionally took months or even years into something that can be done in just a matter of hours or days. Now, I touched on this already, but Supabase is number 4. Now, Supabase is the backend of choice for a lot of these new apps, and a lot of the dev shops that are pushing out these rapid MVPs are using Supabase as the backend because of how easy it is to manage and set up. This will be where a lot of your data is stored, and it'll also be where you set up edge functions or server-side functions and a lot of other things that your AI-developed application is going to need to run. Now, I will say that there's a little bit of a learning curve to understanding how to use this tool properly, and I'd say it's probably the most complicated thing to get your head around in this entire stack, but it's really, really powerful, and once you do, again, it starts to make sense. By connecting the Supabase MCP in Cursor or in Claude, you can get it to help set up a lot of the Supabase structure. You can get it to set up your database. You can get it to help set up authentication. And as long as you're doing that with security in mind, it can speed the process up a lot, and it can help you push out these apps a hell of a lot quicker. Now, the fifth tool that I'll talk about here is N8N and the AI automation layer. Now, with a lot of the apps that are getting built these days, and in my opinion, in the next 5 years, there'll be a lot of services, AI services that you'll want to connect to your application. So some of the 3 tools that I think are really, really popular here is some sort of middleware tool like N8N for building AI automations. Now, you can just do this through Supabase and Edge functions, but a lot of these automations are fiddly. They get iterated on a lot. And if you're someone that doesn't want to manage huge code bases, using N8N as a service and calling it via webhook can be a much quicker and easy to digest approach for building these AI agents and being able to constantly tweak them and view and see what's happening a lot easier. Some other really cool modern technology that's coming out in this space are vector databases and knowledge graphs. And these are basically ways of being able to store and access data in a much easier way. It's really new technology, and I'm not going to touch on it too much in this video, but it can be super powerful for applications that are looking to access some sort of knowledge base. And yeah, I'd highly recommend looking into that. But it's really cool and something that can actually be built into this tech stack pretty easily. And it offers a lot of value to clients, so it can really help drive up the value of what you're selling. That's a quick overview of the tools, and I'm just going to quickly gel together how these all work in conjunction to be able to spit something out in just a week or two. The general process looks like we use Claude projects, but if you use ChatGPT, the equivalent is my GPTs. Step 1 is to train some GPTs to help you build scope documents. Now, I've got a video that explains exactly how we do this in the AI Builders Hub, but essentially what we do is we build a PRD, which is called a product requirements document. In basic terms, it's just a scope document. We build an MVP plan. We build a expected database schema or database design, and we basically build out a step-by-step implementation approach on how an AI model is actually going to do that. Now, from there, in some cases, we'll build a prompt to port into something like V0 to build a prototype so we can demo that prototype to a client. And then from there, we will use that implementation plan to build this application in Cursor. Now, we use ShadCN as a component library. We use a lot of these AI-friendly libraries. Now, if you want the full breakdown and an actual document that we have that explains the exact setup on how to set up your project with the exact framework that we use, it's in my AI Builders Hub. But essentially, we use AI-friendly frameworks and libraries so that the AI understands these models very, very well. We connect it with some MCP servers to help give the AI model more context, so it's more accurate in its generation, and it doesn't go down error rabbit holes and hallucinate. And we essentially use these within Cursor, using Claude as the actual LLM to build these applications. And then we'll use Supabase as a backend, and then we'll tie it all together. And if we need extra automation or extra services, we'll use things like N8N and Pinecone to further the application's AI capabilities. Now, I guarantee you that if you understand the basics of tech, you can easily spit out prototypes in literally a week using this approach. And it's not just me that's doing it. There's a lot of people that are out there doing it. And to be honest, they are absolutely raking it in, because this is a process that used to take literal months and sometimes upwards of $100,000. Now, the other reasons that this tech stack is really, really popular is because it's open source and it's actually genuinely pretty cheap to run. You can self-host N8N and you can run that. We pay, I think, $13 a month off the top of my head to run a self-hosted instance of N8N for our personal company. Supabase, you have a free plan that's very generous. Pinecone has a free plan that's very generous. And so most Claude can be a little bit expensive, but their pro plan will let you achieve the basics here as well. And that's about, I think, about $20 a month. So as you can see, you can build these applications for a fairly cheap price, probably $100 to $300 per month, depending on exactly what tools you want to use here. And you can charge upwards of $20K for a project. As you can tell, this stack is really, really powerful, but it is just tools unless you have the strategy and the knowledge to be able to implement this properly. It's not rocket science and it's definitely learnable, but I'll be lying if I was going to say that this is something that you can pick up in one day or it's dead simple. Now, that might scare some people, but I see it as an opportunity, because if it was super easy, then everybody would be doing it. It's definitely not that hard. If you apply yourself for just a couple of weeks, you can really get your head around how this works. And if you're interested in learning more, feel free to join the AI Builders Hub or just drop a comment on this video. And Tell me about how you're going and where you might have some problems, and I'm sure that me or someone in my community can probably help you. Good luck, and if you've got any recommendations or any extras that you use in your tech stack when you're coding these applications with AI, let me know, because I would love to hear about them. And this space is changing so quickly that I'm sure there's going to be little tweaks and better ways of doing things that are coming out literally every week. So I want to hear about them, and let me know in the comments. Good luck.